Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the 5G services at the India Mobile Congress in Delhi today.
This marks the beginning of the use of the next generation network in the country. However,
the government's draft telecom bill, which is now in the public domain for stakeholders to give their feedback.
What the government plans to do when it comes to the telecommunication sector.
Then what will be the surety that the political leaders are not going to use our data for their political agendas?
Will you ask me to bear the cost as a user?
This is the first, and this itself is sure to be contentious.
Greetings everyone, this is Aditya and you're watching MBA Fight. The Government of India has just put forward draft of Telecommunication Act 2022 in public domain, and it is as controversial as anything. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and first try to understand what this draft is all about. Until now, we have been following three acts for our telecommunication, which are Indian Telegraph Act 1885, Indian Wireless Telegraphy Act 1933, and the Telegraph Wires Act 1950. Now, by seeing the dates of these acts, the obvious conclusion arises is these acts are old and needs a serious overhaul and upgradation, especially when technologies like Internet of Things, 4G, 5G, Internet 4.0, Industrial Revolution 4.0 and so many other technologies are booming right now. I mean, with these acts, how did industry even manage to survive, let alone thrive? But it did. India is currently the world's second largest telecommunication market with a subscriber base of 117 crores and has registered a strong growth in the past half decade. It provides a direct employment to 4 million people. Contribution of mobile phone industry alone accounts to 8.2% as per estimate. Telecom is the second highest revenue earner for the government after income tax. This sector is expected to grow as much as 90% of the government's non-tax revenue. So now you see guys how big the industry actually is and what's the potential of growth in this industry for both government and its users, and how desperately India needs its change in telecommunication policy, which is flexible to rapidly changing scenarios and changes. So with this upgradation, what are the key changes the government is trying to make in this following act, and what are the future upgradations we can expect from it? And first and foremost, we will start with the most controversial one, that is the definition of telecommunication. So the government has changed the definition of telecommunication, and now OTT firms have to take license and spectrum from the government, just like Airtel, Jio and VL. The new telecommunication bill also enables a legal framework for preventing harassment of the users from unsolicited calls and messages. In case of any insolvency or default by the company, the ownership of the spectrum, which was the major issue in telecom industry, will go to the government, and the government will reimburse the company as it sees fit. And there are so many other changes also, which is impossible for me to fit in such a small video. So I'll be attaching a link into the description for you to further go through it. So with all this major upgradation, what are the controversial sections that is troubling the mass? Some of the provisions in the draft are alarming and threatening to the rights of the privacy, which makes the whole draft as an attempt for the power grab. The first thing is it will bring OTT platform like WhatsApp, Signal and Telegram under strict regulations, and this platform will now require license to operate in India. As you can see in the act, and I quote, telecommunication service means services of any description, including all these services, most majorly over-the-top communication services, which is made available to users by telecommunication and includes any other services that central government may notify to be telecommunication service, which means the scope and service it covers can further be changed. Now, there is no need to panic as of right now. Government can license third parties to provide such services or even exclude some services for requiring a license altogether if it determines necessary. Vague, but still something. Second thing is companies still have to strictly comply to the request by the government to release all the information, including call recording, message and mails. This is extremely threatening, as this in future can seriously hurt users' right to privacy, and in worst case, it can also be used to keep a tab on opposition and activists. And third thing is, even if government intends to apply these acts, how is government planning to actuate these acts into the real world case scenario? As services of WhatsApp, Signal and Telegram is end-to-end encrypted, which means nobody not even the company can read and decode the message. So what can companies send to the government if it itself doesn't have the information? And fourth, this kind of stringency actually demotivates the company and the business to enter into the country, as the regulation process is already very complicated, and bringing in the license can drag us back to license Raj, where business were run by mercy of bureaucrats and government and not by the capabilities of businessmen. And fifth, the center is also looking to jump over TRAI Act, or Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Act, to dilute from its sectorial watchdog function. The current TRAI Act mandates the telecom department to seek the regulators' views before issuing new license to service providers. The proposed bill thrashes this provision. It has also removed the provision that empowers TRAI to request the government to give the information or documents necessary to make recommendations. Additionally, the new bill also proposes to remove the powers of the TRAI, so the DOT or Department of Telecommunication can completely ignore TRAI's proposal or recommendation. So, due to all this and other sections, the whole process and whole act looks like a power grab and centralization into the main government, which can go south really quick. This is still at draft stage and open to industry's comments. But if this really has to work, the process needs to be much more democratic, transparent, and most importantly of all, being able to adapt to the new changes that is coming into the future. And if not implemented or handled correctly, it can hamper the growth of the country. On that note, thanks guys for your time, and I hope you really like this video. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe for more interesting content.